Hey, what's going on? This is the Body Punch Podcast, and my name is Naz. So, Jake Paul has a new opponent. His name is Ben Askren, who we are all familiar with his short stint in the UFC, with his career in Bellator and in ONE FC, and with his long wrestling pedigree. Ben Askren is going to be the one fighting Jake Paul in a boxing match. This fight is slated to be on pay-per-view. It's going to be the main event. And it's a very interesting choice. And it's one that a lot of people are divided on. And it's in the sense of, is Jake Paul ready for a test like Ben Askren, who is an actual fighter, who's been in there with trained killers? And then there's other topics that are being brought up. People are saying that Ben Askren isn't the right representation that MMA needs to go against Jake Paul. A lot of people have known of Ben Askren's striking ability and have seen it. We've all seen it in all of his fights. He doesn't really rely on his striking. He's well known for his wrestling. He's been wrestling his whole life. He is a wrestler. If you follow Ben Askren on Instagram or his podcasts or wherever he shows up, he calls himself a wrestler first. He's a wrestler that used his skill in MMA to dominate people in that one facet. Now, Jake Paul has been an athlete, in his opinion, since he was a kid. He was also wrestling at a young age, not to the level of Ben Askren. Ben Askren's on a totally different level when it comes to MMA and wrestling. But Jake Paul has been on kind of this short, very short run of fights. Him and his brother have both been experimenting with boxing. And Jake Paul, who has fought another YouTuber from England and then KO'd Nate Robinson, that went viral. Some people are saying that Jake Paul doesn't have skills. He's just an annoyance on the sport of boxing. And he's not really meant to be there. But athletes like Conor McGregor and Mike Tyson have come out and said, hey, if the guy wants to make money and he's a pay-per-view draw, then let him do whatever he wants to do. Even though Jake Paul has been coming after Conor McGregor, they still think that this guy should come in and do whatever he needs to do. And he is a person that will bring eyeballs to the sport. This is a guy in Jake Paul who, if I recall correctly, said that he has about 50 million followers on all of his platforms combined. So he's got a pretty big following. But the thing is, and this is what I really want to talk about, is Jake Paul's fans. Are his fans actually going to be staying? And what I mean by that is, yes, they're going to watch this Ben Askren fight. They watched the Nate Diaz fight. They watched the fight before that. But do they actually stay? Do we see an increase in boxing pay-per-views after Jake or Logan or any other YouTube fights Do we see an increase in pay-per-view buys? Especially, do we see an increase in pay-per-view buys in the demographic that these guys pull in? These guys pull in a certain demo. Regular boxing demo. The regular boxing demo is someone who's older, male, and, we all kind of see the people that are in boxing and that are interested in boxing. MMA has a different demo. And these guys, these YouTubers over here, who are in this vlogging genre of YouTube, have this younger demographic. Now, they're getting older because their content is getting a little bit more mature. But we still should see a shift in demographic when this pay-per-view gets ready to be bought. Do those people actually stay? I don't think so. I don't think that if you have a Logan Paul fight, if you have a Jake Paul fight, if you have a KSI fight, I don't think those people are there to watch the sport of boxing. They're there to watch their YouTubers fight, and then they're kind of gone. They don't stick around. We might see it in the undercard. Now, this is why I think that the undercard is going to be so important. First of all, you're going to have to convince a bunch of the boxing heads, the real-time boxers, to fight underneath a YouTuber and a retired UFC fighter. Once you're able to convince them, then you're going to have to get the right type of talent to keep those kids or those younger people interested in the sport of boxing. That's the real key that boxing and Triller, the people that are running this event, need to think about. Is who's going to be on that undercard and how can we use these YouTubers to make the sport of boxing bigger? Because yes, these guys want to fight and, they're bringing something to the sport. So I think boxing really needs to, if they're going to do this kind of stuff, they really need to take advantage of it. They need to make sure that they have the right undercard, they have the correct promotion, and everything is settled before they run these kind of fights. If they want to get the full power of it. Now, to switch topics, let's talk about Ben Askren. Ben Askren's been in there with some of the killers in the UFC and in other organizations. I mean, let's just look at his last couple fights in the UFC. So he started off his UFC career with Robbie Lawler. Now, he got him in a bulldog choke that was highly disputed, but he used his wrestling in there. Did we see much striking? We saw a little bit. But Ben Askren doesn't really use his striking to finish fights. He uses his striking as a way to get to the ground, to implement his wrestling. Because all fights start on the feet, like everybody says. But he uses his striking as a way to get these guys to the ground. And in that Robbie Lawler fight, he got put into the fire. It looked like Robbie Lawler at one point was about to body slam him and take him to the ground. Robbie Lawler is one person that you can't mess with in the UFC, no matter his age, no matter how long he's been in there. But you can't mess with Robbie Lawler. You can't think that he's over the hill because his mindset is totally different. So then we saw the Masvidal fight, We all know that fight ended in really short time. That one was in 2019, flying knee. I remember watching it. That fight would have been over even faster if the referee got there quicker and recognized that Ben Askren was out. Then he took a quick turnaround fight in October 2019. He got submitted by a rear naked choke by Damian Maia, using his jiu-jitsu, being one of the best and phenomenal grapplers in the UFC, but using that to his advantage and submitting Ben Askren. So, the casual fans, and that's what we're going to see in this fight, are not going to know Ben Askren's extensive mixed martial arts career. They're not even going to know about his wrestling career. Like, if you look at all the wrestling matches that he's had, this guy's been in high level competition for a very long time and should not be, people shouldn't say that he has no chance. No matter what his skills are at when he's fighting in one championship, Bellator or the UFC, I don't think it really matters because this guy's in there with killers. He's training with killers. And he recently said to Ariel Helwani that Duke Roufus will be helping him for this camp. If you guys don't know who Duke Roufus is, he is one of the best coaches out of Milwaukee. If he's involved, then this is a totally different ballgame. Especially because Ben Askren's been training with Duke Roufus for a little while now. And that's how you can tell how serious this is. If that team out there with Tyron Woodley and Anthony Pettis and both of the Pettis brothers, if they're all helping him to get ready for this fight, then they're all taking it seriously. Because even before this, like, I'm looking at Ben Askren's Bellator career, he was in there with Douglas Lima and won by unanimous decision. Douglas Lima, we all know, he's got power in his hands. I mean, he's the one that took out MVP at the time with that devastating uppercut or whatever it was. He got MVP to the ground and knocked him out while he was trying to get up. Douglas Lima is a killer. A lot of people say that, Douglas Lima was young at the time and he isn't the same Douglas Lima. Yeah, I would say that's true, but it's a lot higher level of competition than anything Jake Paul has seen. So I think this is, it's a fun fight. It's a fight that we should be happy about because Ben Askren will be making good money. We're going to get a lot of eyeballs. He's going to get a lot of recognition. And I think it will be a competitive fight. I don't really see everybody, how everybody's saying that Jake Paul's going to run him over. I don't really see that. I feel like I can give arguments to both sides. I mean, Jake Paul, we've seen him in the boxing ring. He's been there, be it 2 times now, but he's been in there. And we don't know when we know it's going to be on April 17th, but we don't know where it's going to be. We don't know if there's going to be fans. That has a lot to play into it. There's a lot of things that we still need to figure out with this fight. And I can't count out any one of these fighters. Because I can give you an argument saying that Jake Paul's been in there boxing, blah, blah, blah. And then I can also say that Ben Askren has been in there with some of the best that MMA has to offer. And he knows what it's like to get hit by powerful guys. He won't be nervous coming into this situation. I think some of the people that Jake has fought and some of the people that he trains with, he says that they're at a high level, but we don't know that. But we know for a fact that Ben Askren's been in there. So I don't think it's a total wash. I mean, Ben Askren is still a wrestler. Jake Paul has been training in boxing. So I think it'd be an interesting fight. I mean, these guys do bring the money, and it's going to give a platform to other fighters on the card. That's my thoughts about it. Let me know what you guys think. We're going to talk about it a little bit more when it comes up, but it's just a fun topic that I saw floating around and everybody's talking about, so I thought I would give my 2 cents about it. I'm not as angry about this. I mean, I feel happy for Ben Askren. And if he can take down Jake Paul, then that will really help with his career. Not saying that Jake Paul is some sort of monster that everybody should be worried about in boxing. But Ben Askren has been the brunt of a lot of jokes. This might be able to clear some of those. So let me know what you guys think. And if you guys could like, share, and subscribe to this podcast, that'd be really appreciated. And if you guys can give 5 stars and do all that good stuff on the different podcast platforms, that'd be great. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this podcast. I really appreciate it. And this has been the Body Punch Podcast. My name is Naz. Bye.